A COVID outbreak in Texas bringing major concern, and it's got summer camps scurrying for ways to keep kids safe. Plus, a fresh wind at the Capitol. The new hope lawmakers are clinging to for change this special session. And it's not your typical hobby for kids, but this trend is growing legs in the Brazos Valley. Your 25 News starts right now.
Connecting the Brazos Valley. This is Krhd News.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Hallie Jones. A COVID outbreak at a Texas summer camp coming as a surprise to some, not such a shock to others. Adam Schindler from our sister station KXXV shows us what one Texas camp is now doing.
Here at Texas Tumblers in Harker Heights, they're making sure that their summer camp is fun and COVID safe for the kiddos. Texas Tumblers Gymnastics is offering an all-day summer camp for kids that's running through the middle of August, and kids are definitely showing up.
Well, it was very hesitant at first, when everything started reopening for like our classes and things like that. But our summer camp and our classes this summer have pretty much been full for the most part.
The camp goes along with the normal classes and programs, and everything is done while keeping COVID precautions in mind, which include hand washing and constant sanitizing.
Even out here in the gym, we have a special spray that we use on the floor because obviously you can't just do Lysol. So we have a special spray that's made for gyms that we spray throughout the gym and on the mats, throughout the day.
Medical professionals recommend camp activities be done outside, but knowing camps like Texas Tumblers are indoors, hand washing is a must.
If we're around other people, we're touching them, and then we touch our noses or our eyes or mouths, it tends to go in that way. So they do need to emphasize the hand washing as much as they can.
Texas Tumblers is taking precautions just like last year, but they are happy to see more kids this year.
We're still cleaning just like last year, but it's been a little bit more fun, and there's been a lot more kiddos this year.
Parents are happy too.
They are glad to have their kids able to actually do stuff again.
Here at Texas Tumblers, they are sticking with the same COVID precautions they've had the whole time. In Harker Heights, Adam Schindler, 25 News.
Coronavirus cases continue to go up around the world. The World Health Organization says more than 2 million new COVID cases were reported last week. Brazil and India reported the highest increases in cases. There was a sharp increase in infections in Europe. And Africa reported a 23% rise in COVID-related deaths during the same period. Worldwide, deaths were at the lowest point since October. This special session agenda is jam-packed with hot topics like border security and election integrity that has quickly gained national attention, putting Texas in the spotlight. Governor Abbott using this time to target hot topics that were not discussed during the regular session. Dr. Patrick Flavin, professor of political science at Baylor University, says many folks are paying close attention to election integrity, highlighted in Senate Bill 7. Flavin says there are strong opinions on both sides of all of the topics at hand, so a heated debate is expected.
It's likely there'll be bills passed in one or maybe all of those areas, but it could be that there's no bills passed, and then it would be up to Governor Abbott to extend the session, call another session.
There are some issues that did not make it on the agenda. Flavin says the winter storm in the state's power grid is something of concern for Democrats and Republicans, some saying this should have been on the agenda instead of social media censorship. Republican Texas Congressman Chip Roy admits he wants the GOP to cause chaos in Congress in order to win in the next election. The lawmaker revealed in a video he wants to jam Democrats' legislative goals so Republicans can win the 2022 midterms. In a statement today, Roy says he stands by his remarks. He said he plans to, quote, oppose almost everything that Congress does. The White House says President Joe Biden will sign an executive order aimed at increasing competition in labor markets. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said today the initiatives will call on the Federal Trade Commission to adopt rules that could help curtail non-compete agreements. The executive order will also call on the FTC to ban unnecessary occupational licensing requirements. President Biden says he wants to invest in education and plans to offer 2 years of free community college and 2 years of free universal pre-K. Additional investments in education and the American Families Plan would reduce student debt for future teachers and support infrastructure improvements in schools. His plan will also increase the maximum Pell Grant awarded by approximately $1,400.
The Delta variant now accounts for more than 51% of COVID-19 cases here in the U.S. That's according to new estimates from the CDC. Leaders from the CDC and other federal agencies are deploying to communities nationwide where the Delta variant is spreading. The goal is getting vaccination rates up in areas where they're still low. One of the things they're also helping with is contact tracing to prevent big surges.
I think the one thing that public health officials and contact tracers will be looking out for are these breakthrough cases. So cases in people who have been vaccinated previously. And that information is really important for us to really understand how well the vaccines that we do have are protecting against this Delta variant and any future variants that we might encounter.
Dr. Crystal Watson has been working on contact tracing efforts since the beginning of the pandemic. Although we're seeing an increase in COVID cases with the Delta variant, the number of cases is much lower than at the height of the pandemic. She says that's making it easier to reach people who may have been missed before when health departments were overwhelmed. We never reached the level of contact tracers health departments across the country had hoped to hire. But Watson says we're in a good spot with staffing for the current situation in the pandemic. She says another improvement is the health department has come up with better ways to reach people.
I think some people will be very receptive to it and willing to take the actions that public health is recommending to quarantine if you've been exposed in particular. Some people are willing but unable to do that, and that might be more difficult right now because people are largely back to work.
Some places are doing better than others with helping people who need to quarantine to stay at home. They're providing services like help getting food, replacement child or adult care, and replacement income. Former President Trump says he is going to sue Facebook, Twitter, and Google. He claims he was wrongfully censored by the tech giants. Both Twitter and Facebook suspended Trump's accounts following the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. The three companies have declined comment. Well, from thousands of dollars to free marijuana, states are trying incentive programs to get more Americans vaccinated. Next in our lineup, the issues they're facing in their efforts.
The Delta variant bringing threat to summer camps across Texas. This as over 160 kids in Galveston left infected with the mutation. Tonight, Krhd reporter Rachel Espaillat finds out what danger lurks out there for summer programs in the Brazos Valley.
Sovac City Summer Camp had a seamless transition into the COVID season because of the safety protocols they already had in place. Kids as young as 8 years old put their sewing skills to the test at the week-long summer program in College Station.
It builds confidence, something that's easy for them to do and allows them to grow and hopefully learn to love sewing.
Since the craft comes with some danger, safety has always been a top priority at Sovac City.
You're working with young kids and sewing machines, so you watch everything as you go. So it's just to keep everybody safe, even with just the mechanical things that we're using.
Maintaining a small class size allows the instructor to keep a close eye as students design. So protocols like cleaning up in between sessions and keeping students spread out continues to come in handy through the pandemic.
We were already doing all that. So that is just our normal policy. So we've always been very conscientious about health and environment.
And stay healthy in their creative space at this sewing camp. Sovac City offers classes for people of all ages throughout the year. In College Station, Rachel Espaillat, KRHD News.
Now let's get a check of the weather with First Alert meteorologist Josh Shawns.
Yeah, and we saw some showers earlier today, but now things starting to calm down as you look at radar across the Brazos Valley. Had a shower that was sitting there in the last few hours there towards her, and that has even fallen apart. Just watching some towards Lake Livingston. Those aren't going to bother us tonight. Different story down along the Texas coastline. Look at all the rain falling there towards Corpus Christi. In fact, they are dealing with flooding rains down there. They already saw close to 5 to 6 inches of rain. They're going to add another 5 to 6 tonight. And we were talking about rain just north of Corpus Christi that may total a foot by the time it's over. We are talking about some very heavy rain down there. Thankfully, aren't dealing with that, although we are dealing with our own rounds of showers and thunderstorms. We'll have another shot at them tomorrow. We'll call it about a 40 to 50% chance of rain as that moves on through. Friday, I think we see a better chance of rain because that main upper level low, bringing all that rain to Corpus Christi, it's going to be lifting up towards the I-35 corridor, which means we're going to keep those high rain chances around going on into your Friday as well. And we'll try to dry out for the weekend. There is going to be a little bit of dry air. It's going to sneak in by Saturday and Sunday, but then a system comes down from the north, and that means the rain chances will be back here going into Monday and on into the start of the new week. There are some signs, though, that we start to see high pressure try to build over the Lone Star State as we head into the middle and end of next week, and that would actually bring us some drier air, and so maybe, just maybe, and into the rain chances. Quick update on Elsa. It's over there towards Georgia. It's going to be lifting up towards Carolina as a tropical depression and then turning into a tropical storm as it nears the New England area. So something we will be watching. Again, no issues here. That is the good news. We still keep the rain chances around, though. Upper 60s, low 70s tonight, should normally be at 75, and our record is 67 in 1923. Tomorrow, back into the mid-80s. That's still 10 degrees cooler than normal. Our normal's 94. We're going to be at 86, not normal for July. 50% chances of rain Thursday and Friday, a 30% chance Saturday, 40% chance Sunday and Monday. But here come things starting to dry out again by the end of the week. Temperatures hanging around in the lower 90s.
Many states are offering incentives to get people vaccinated against COVID-19. In some places, the incentives are working out, but others are struggling. Arkansas has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country, despite offering several incentives. That includes giving out scratch-off lottery tickets and gift certificates from the Game and Fish Commission. But the state has admitted that those giveaways just aren't working. Experts say Arkansas needs to figure out what really does persuade people to get vaccinated. For some, it's not always material rewards.
People are already feeling uncertain if a vaccine is entirely safe and entirely effective and really important. It's possible that they'll look at something like a small token incentive as a kind of payment and then think, I don't know if my sense of uncertainty can be bought with something that has a $20 value.
Another thing that may prevent people from getting the vaccine is logistics. Some parents may be worried about childcare, not only while they're getting a vaccine, but also days after the shot if they experience side effects. Others may not have transportation to a vaccination site. In these cases, it may be a better option to offer more functional or useful incentives.
Some of those folks are persuaded by having access at their workplace, by having time off while they get it, and making it as easy as possible to access.
But experts warn whether it's about coronavirus or another illness, there will always be a group of people who are just not motivated to get vaccinated. Ultimately, it's best for public health officials to find the root of people's concerns about the shot before coming up with an incentive plan. Well, still ahead in our lineup, you may have never heard of the Green Books, but for Black Americans, they were a big safety net when Jim Crow laws were in place. Well, one woman explains the crucial information they provided. For decades, a series of books was bought by millions and considered literally life-saving by many in the past. Yet many in the country have never even heard of these books. Forrest Sanders speaks to a woman who's making it her life's work to document the story of these books as their reach touches every community in the country.
There are so many old vacation memories recorded in the time of 1948 to 1951. As ads encouraged families to go out on the road and explore America.
Travel this year the roads to romance, to places you've always wanted to go.
But thinking back on these years of unprecedented opportunity to experience the country, someone had questions. How did Black families travel during a time of sundown towns?
And sundown towns were all white communities, and if you were caught there after sundown, there could be severe consequences and even death. My innocent question was, if there's all these sundown towns, what did the Black people do? Looking back at vacation history and marketing, there's white folks at the beach, and you never see Black people in any of these images, and there's a reason for that.
night, going through unfamiliar town so far from home. Where did these families stay? How did they know if they were in a sundown town? There have been many stops in answering these questions for writer and photographer Candace Taylor. And today, the questions have led her here. Atlanta, Georgia, Auburn Avenue.
That's the original sign, but there was also funeral home was underneath here. I love these photographs. And then we're heading into the chapel. We're at Hoggebrook's funeral home, but now it is just called Hoggebrook's because it's an art space.
There's an important history to Hoggebrook's as one of the original sites to be featured in the Green Book.
Everything from drugstores, banks, anything you might need on the road was in the Green Book. And it was like a black-yellow pages. Most black families spent weeks preparing for a road trip. You'd pick up a Green Book, you'd have to go through and figure out places of where you wanted to stay. This was the Jim Crow era in general, but the Green Book started publication in 1936, and it lasted through 1967. There is something visceral about being in a space that's tied to this history, and it's always almost like a spiritual experience for me.
Candace's work, photographing and writing about the Green Book sites, is a project of rare ambition.
I've cataloged over 10,000 Green Book sites. I've scouted 6,000. Right now I'm on the road doing the remaining scouting of the 4,000.
Part of Candace's work is in her book, Overground Railroad, where she details original Green Book sites like the Rossonian in Denver, Colorado, the Hampton House Resort in Miami, Florida, and the Regal Hotel in Los Angeles, California. Its work being archived at the Library of Congress and being used for both an exhibition with the Smithsonian and a mobile app Candace is developing. She's telling the story of the black family on those unfamiliar roads in the Jim Crow era.
This feels like my life's work. I think we've lost our way in terms of understanding how race and racism have led to where we are today. I felt like it's even more important that we tell this story now and we look at this history through the lens of the Green Book. I don't know where this ends, but I know that it's important and I feel like it's bigger than me at this point.
In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Forrest Sanders.
An executive order is expected from the White House that will change how some things work in the meat industry. Ultimately, it would give farmers more power to negotiate sales and even sue big meat processors if they think something isn't fair. It's an issue that's gone back and forth over the years, and you'll get a different answer depending on who you ask as to which approach is better. But either way, it could have an impact on supply and prices on an industry still dealing with disruptions and volatility largely from the pandemic.
It has certainly revealed the complexity of these supply chains, I think, and we're much more aware of that. Maybe that's a good thing long term.
The White House is also expected to encourage the Federal Trade Commission to give farmers more flexibility in repairing tractor equipment. Right now, they are limited in using independent repair shops or repairing it on their own. The White House is also expected to tell the USDA to review meat labels and what can say product of USA. Some livestock are born in other countries, mainly Canada and Mexico, but brought to the U.S. to feed directly for slaughter. Those are currently labeled USA products because they are processed here, as is imported meat that is turned into an entirely different product here in the U.S. Agricultural economist Daryl Peel says anytime there is a change, it comes with cost.
So in order to be able to label those at all the way through the system, it essentially means that those products, those animals initially, and then later the products have to be kept segregated. So they have to be fed separately. They have to be processed separately. And then, of course, everybody along the way has got to track all that information.
Peel points out the label rule changes may not even cover what's sold to food service, which is where more than half the meat supply goes. Past meat labeling law changes were eventually overturned after the World Trade Organization ruled against them. And past research shows a majority of consumers didn't know the law was in place, and where meat comes from matters less than price or quality. Well, last in our lineup, hiring bonuses have been a huge spike in popularity among employers, but they may come with some strings attached. Economist experts explain why. As several industries face labor shortages, there's been an 18% increase from March to June of companies offering hiring bonuses.
So this is really staggering, and it shows that employers are having real trouble hiring workers and are trying to pull out all the stops.
ZipRecruiters say they typically don't even see a whole 1% increase in hiring bonuses from month to month, but it seems to be working so far. There has been an uptick in applications for jobs offering this.
And it works more than doing other things like saying that your job is urgent or trying to encourage people in other ways by talking about how great your need is and how you would hire them immediately.
But signing bonuses are temporary and often don't get paid out up front. Employers usually include these as part of your paycheck over several months.
And that allows employers a bunch of leverage over, workers' conditions at their job, because, that $500 or $1,000, whatever the signing bonus may be, is kind of hanging in the balance. So workers will kind of do whatever it takes to stick around, or think about doing whatever it takes to stick around, even if job conditions are poor.
The Economic Policy Institute says hiring bonuses in no way substitute for higher wages. Research has shown the bonuses make employees stay with a company longer. ZipRecruiter even says in the past they have seen job postings go back up months after being taken down. In other words, the time it took to pay out the bonus. But in this case, a temporary fix may be all that's needed.
They're betting that in a couple of months at the end of the summer, around about fall, when schools reopen, vaccination rates are higher, COVID continues to wane, and the unemployment benefits, the expanded enhanced unemployment benefits expire, that people will flood back into the labor market.
It's also important to note that because hiring bonuses are a part of your paycheck, they will be taxed. So you won't actually be getting the full amount of money advertised. Well, scientists have a global warming fear that has nothing to do with humans. It's with animals' abilities to adapt to warming conditions. Some animals are adapting, but tomorrow scientists still worry about even those who adapt quicker.
Jimmy Kimmel is up next. Good Morning Texas is on the air tomorrow at 5 a.m. Thanks for joining us. Have a great